How did she do it? Do it. Do it. Do it. Three, two, one.
It's the Libby Show.
Hey friends, welcome to a new episode of the Libby Show. Today's guest is a gold certified singer-songwriter and Bethel music worship leader. His brand new album, Made for More, is out now. Josh Baldwin, welcome to the Libby Show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. So good to be here.
So good to have you here on the show to talk about your brand new album, Made for More, which was recorded live, by the way.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was stressful up until I think like during the actual night and the recording. And I think we prepped pretty well for it, so that helped me, but I was stressed out like up until then. And then in the middle of it, I was like, okay, this is fine. Let's just do what we do. But
Yeah, and like remember the lyrics of the song, you know?
Right. That was honestly, that was like one of the main, but they helped me out. They had some confidence monitors in front of me, so I could just look at those. But sometimes they make it worse because I'll rely on them too much.
Yep.
And then you're just at the mercy of who's ever, pushing next on the screen for the next line. So, but everything went great.
Well, it sounds incredible. It's out now.
Thank you.
Made for More, the title track, you actually collaborated with Jenn Johnson, who I saw both of you at the Kayla Fan Awards, and we talked about that and the tour. So,
I mean, here's how it happened. I wrote that song. Gosh, we're coming up on almost 2 years since I wrote it. I'm trying to think. I know. It's so funny. We sit on songs for so long sometimes, and then like they go out into the world and they're new to everyone, and then to my house and my kids, they're already tired of them. But so I wrote that song, but the reason Jenn was even on it and a part of it was after writing it, like it felt like I was talking with my wife, and I was like, gosh, this sounds like something Jenn would write and say. This sounds like a message I've heard her say over and over again for years, just like a message on our identity with Christ and all that.
Yeah.
And, our identity in Christ. And so then the first time I ever led it was out at Bethel for our worship school. And Jenn came up to me right after I led it and was like, that song's amazing. That, she was even saying like, I love that. That is like what I'm all about. That message, we were made from one. And I was like, I know.
okay.
We
You're
were
made
talking
for this
about
song.
Yeah. And I told her in that moment, I was like, well, when we record it, why don't you just sing it with me? And she's like, I would love to. It was just a quick thing. And then fast forward, a few months later, thinking about the album and when we recorded it, I reached out to her again. I was like, hey, like, I'm serious. I know you're going to probably come and be a part of the live recording anyway and just be there because it's Bethel music people. But would you actually want to sing this song with me? And which is awesome because she writes all the time and she's an amazing writer. And she probably mostly, I know she mostly only leads and sings songs that she's written. So the fact that she would jump on it and it's not even her song, but it has become our song. I mean, it definitely is. It's hard for me to do it and not think about Jenn and just, all that. So she added so much and it's been amazing. And it was amazing to get to do it at K-Love where we saw you. We were just out there sweating in the humidity.
It's always like, and I don't think I was telling people, I was like, listen, there was a torrential downpour like 30 minutes before I was supposed to leave, and of course I left my umbrella in the car, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna probably show up just like who knows what. But then it ended very quickly, and of course that classic summer Tennessee humidity, it is just sometimes unbearable.
I feel like that's always the case there at those things. There's always like, you're worried it's gonna rain during, but it doesn't. It rains right before, so that during it's just like a sauna. But it was fun. It was such a fun day.
It was a really fun day and fun night. So I want to get into just more of this topic of our identity. And I think we're in a time where it's a constant conversation I have with my friends about how there's so many things pulling at our attention, making us feel inadequate or like we're not doing enough, or that we need to be doing more. when in actuality, like the song says, we're made for more
Yeah.
through Christ. But as an artist, what are some steps you've taken to remember your identity? And creative output also comes from God, because I think
Yeah.
as creatives, what we do put out there does come from us. So how do you create that, that separation to where daily you can be reminded that God is the one that's,
Yeah.
in control of that?
Yeah. I mean, it's so important, and it can be so tough, especially nowadays. Yeah, with social media and all the things that pull us away from just being grounded in the Lord and grounded in the Word. And I think that's what it is. I mean, I know over especially the last 2 years, I've tried to be a lot more intentional about just
Yeah.
waking up daily and being grounded in the Word, and like, how am I going to start my day out? And am I going to pick up my phone and look at all the things that I've gotten overnight? And I'm still horrible at it. I'm not like good
I
at
still
it.
do that. I'm like,
Yeah. I did it this morning, right before we're talking. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm like Mr. Holy guy over here, but
none of
but
us
I
are.
do I do know what I'm supposed to do, and I try to
Yeah.
do it a lot. And I think because I mean, yeah, we're getting so many things bombarding us, trying to like tell us who we are and who we should be, or who we're not and who we'll never be, and all this. And so, I mean, this song definitely has been a reminder of, okay, who do I need? I need to find my identity in the Lord and what He's done for me. And yeah, I mean, even the line, what's the line we wrote? The cross of salvation is only the start. I love that, because definitely like what Jesus did on the cross and His resurrection, it was like He said it's finished. And
Yeah.
for me, that means like from there on, that's where I get to live from. It's the beginning of who I get to be. And the more I learn about Him, the more I learn about the Father, the more He reveals to me who I am and who we are and our calling. And yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Because especially as a creative, like you're saying, it's easy to just like look at other people and social media and all, and it's
Yeah.
always been a thing as a creative you're comparing yourself with another person who's creative. But now it's even easier. There's so many more opportunities to see people doing amazing things, which is great, but also so many more opportunities to compare yourself to them. And I found it on either side. Like, I'm either like, I'm looking at other things and thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough. Or
Yeah.
on the other side, I'll look at it and think like, oh, I'm doing way better than them. Like, in a certain way of like, okay, I can probably like chill. Like, look at me, I've got it together. And that's on the other end of like, whoa, I don't want to be either of those things.
Right.
I just want to I want to find my worth in who the Lord says I am, and line up and just know like, well, is my daily walk, is my daily life and with Him and in being a creator and or creative, is that lining up with who He says, and not who, not in a comparison game with
Yeah.
other people.
And also giving our brains a break too. I feel like as
Oh,
creatives,
gosh,
we
yes.
we kind of rely on stimulation
Yes.
to inspire us, or stories, or things that are happening. And like, we forget that we actually have to check out from that there
Yeah.
needs to be a time where we're not taking in a bunch of information, because that's when you can't really get quiet with God, or be
Totally.
super intentional about why you're doing the things that you're doing, or what your routine looks like, all those things.
Yeah. No, definitely I need a lot of days I need to just go on a walk, and like go on a walk without my phone, which is so hard because I love
Oh,
AirPods. I love to throw them in
Same.
and listen to podcasts like we're doing right now.
I know.
And which is great. I love that. And, but gosh, it's so good to just like go on it without, and just be alone with your thoughts and with the Lord. And I was literally sitting at breakfast this morning and talking with my son about that. He's 11 and he
Yeah.
is a busybody. Which is so funny because I'm not at all. I mean, my wife is a little more high strung than me, but, in like the best way ever. She's like the fire lit beneath. She's the pilot light beneath me that is like, I would get nothing done if it weren't for her. But my son is like, he has a hard time just stop. He'll go from, he wants to be playing at all times. He's outside playing. The minute he comes in, he's like, can I get on my iPad, or can I play a game? Can I do, so we were talking at breakfast this morning, and I was like, dude, you need to just like, we're going to start scheduling like little 20-minute intervals throughout your day.
I love that.
Just like sit and be quiet or go on a walk or do something and not try to stimulate your mind other than just like be with the Lord. And we're working on that a lot, and we're reading every night together and just so it's really good. But it's also convicted me because I'm like, okay, and you need to do that too, Josh.
Yeah.
Like,
You need to do that too. And
put your phone down. Yeah.
I love it. It's such a good reminder, again, for all of us, because we're only going to get more technology as time goes on. It's not like it's going to go
I know.
away,
It's only going to get worse. Yeah. Or better. I mean, it's amazing.
I mean, we could do things. I can decorate the background of this interview. Like, I used to have to do it by hand. By hand. That's not the right terminology. Export it from Zoom, do some Photoshop, and now I don't have to do that anymore.
No.
It's just like,
I mean, the funny thing too, I actually yesterday, speaking of my son, because we have a deal with them where like, we're not doing phones until they're 16.
Love that.
Or like an iPhone, like a, smartphone kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, they have a little watch that they can call me and text me on, but
just give them flip phones, with Verizon ringtones.
Yesterday he came to me and he was like, Dad, he had this like brilliant idea. He was like, Dad, you know how we're not doing phones until 6? I was like, yeah. And he goes, so what about if we do phones like this? And he showed me, he had like an old flip phone, like he had just found something that was like revolutionary. And I was like, yeah, that's the phone that was one of my first phones. Like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, you really want one of those? He's like, yeah, they're amazing. My friend has one. I was like, it's going like backwards. He's like, that's amazing to him that a phone looks like that. And so I'm like, yeah, let's do a flip phone.
Let's do the flip phone. Let's, take photos that are like, I mean, the grainiest of all grainy.
Do what is it? The T9 texting and all that. I got pretty good at that, honestly. Yeah.
I mean, we had to. That's what we were. Yeah. That's what the card that we were dealt. Let's talk about Prince of Peace. Beautiful song.
Okay. Yeah.
And this one sheds light particularly on the intersection of faith and mental well-being. So May was Mental Health Month. Heartfelt message resonating deeply with believers and non-believers alike. I want to talk about that too. Offering a message of relying on the Lord for our ultimate peace, hope, and encouragement in challenging times. So how has that personally resonated with you, and why is this song so important to include on the album?
Yeah, I love that. This song, it came out of just an experience with going on a journey with my wife, and we've talked about this a lot too. She's fine with me sharing her story. Okay. She's actually right here. No, she's not. She's
silent guest.
Yeah. No, she's currently at the chiropractor with my son.
Bless.
So she has no idea. But no, about 5 years ago is when the journey all started with. Yeah. I was traveling a ton, and I was living in California at that time, living in Northern California where Bethel Church is, Bethel Music. And okay. So which made travel even tougher. I was gone longer, and just because it's just hard to get in and out of there. And but she just started having panic attacks and anxiety, just kind of hit hard out of nowhere. And for sometimes that happens a lot of times, and you're just like, and there's no reason behind it necessarily, or none that you can see, and other than the fact that I was gone a lot, which was probably actually a big reason, but and so that happened, and then we spent a year of just working through things, and she, counseling and even medication things, and also I just came off the road. I stopped traveling as much, and then 2020 came, and we all stopped traveling.
Everything stopped.
Yes, which ended up being, after we're like, okay, we're okay, we're gonna be healthy, we're gonna be okay, even financially, not traveling. After all that, it was like, oh, this was a gift. Like just stopping, just being off the road. It was like a year of like just being home with family, and so that helped everything as well. And then we moved to Tennessee, so a couple years had passed, and it hadn't hit that hard like it did back in 2019. And then a year ago, about January, it just hit out of nowhere. It hit again, hit my wife, and she started having anxiety and panic attacks, and and down into depression. And I came off the road again and just stayed home for a month or so. And and it was just, I mean, it was one that it's such a crippling, like you don't know why it's happening. You don't, and you're just like, just asking the Lord, like, how do we fix this? What do I do? And then as a man, like I'm just trying to I just want to fix things and make it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And because I don't necessarily struggle with that. It's not like I mean, I definitely get anxious and worry. I'm a big worrier sometimes, but like, I don't get hit with like the
ringing in the ear situation.
Yeah. Or like, I'm going to pass out, or just, and usually when I'm hit with something like that, it's definitely for a reason. Like I can tell you why that's happening. Like I'm anxious about this. But my wife, it happens, and we're like, we don't know why. And so this whole season was coming. We were just praying for breakthrough and answers. And in the middle of that, I'm supposed to write for my album coming up, and later that year. And I just don't feel like, I'm like, God, the last thing I want to do is be creative right now and go try to write a song.
Yeah.
Especially like a worship song when I feel
when you're not
no hope
as a performer. I think that any kind of performer, I've had days when I've had to do an interview and I'm like, I don't feel like, hi, how's it going? Like it, it's hard. So I can imagine, and like, how do I pull from this?
Yeah. Well, and even like when I feel like as like a worship leader and a Christian artist, like I feel sometimes the pressure to write hopeful songs, and I'm like, I don't feel an ounce of hope right now. Like, and I just, because, and it made it even worse, I think, in some ways, because it wasn't me. Like sometimes when it's you feel like you can like, or I feel like I can work through this, or
we can push through this.
Yeah. But like when it's my wife and I don't know how to help, and it makes me feel even more helpless of just like, I don't know how to fix this for you. But I had a writing session with some friends, and literally the only reason I kept it was because one of them lives in Australia, and he had flew in to write for a week. And so I was like, I don't want to cancel on him.
No.
He flew a long ways for this. So I went in, and thankfully the two guys I was writing with are good friends of mine, and they could also see that I didn't want to be there. And so we just started talking, and I just started sharing like what was going on at home, and my wife was okay with it. And I was sharing with them what was happening. And one of the guys was like, dude, I'm literally going through that right now, and I've never gone through that in my life, but I've been hit with panic attacks, and I would have never thought that he was a person that would deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so we had like an hour, like, counseling sesh, accountability, and we just prayed for each other. And then we were like, maybe we're supposed to write a song that just goes after this and is very honest and vulnerable about this, but also going at like just talking about how the Lord, he is our Prince of Peace. He's all these things. He's been our Savior. He's our healer, our friend, our defender. But also right now, I need him to be my Prince of Peace. And just this song that's just a cry out for help from the Prince of Peace. And so we did that, and it was I just thought, okay, this is going to be a great. This is a song for my wife. I'm gonna write this. I'll probably never. I don't know if I'll ever like record it. It's not like a worship song necessarily, like a Sunday morning kind of sing at your church kind of song. I mean, maybe you can.
It kind of is. Yeah.
I mean, you can. I think it ended up being something that I feel like could be that. But I didn't initially think it was that. I thought, I'm going to write this song for my wife, and we're writing it for my friend here. And I remember taking it home, and she just started crying listening to it. And we found so much healing in that, and other things, counseling, just prayer. Honestly, we had a lot of, there was a prayer. She started going to this prayer group with some other girls, and just this accountability kind of prayer group every week, and found a lot of breakthrough with that, which is pretty amazing. And so through the next 6 to 7 months, we just had a lot of healing, and things got a lot better. And so when we recorded the Made for More album, they were all, the whole point of that album was, I want to do more of like songs that I would do live at church, and just worship driven songs. And it's going to be live. But then I felt so strong that this song needed to be on it, even though I initially was like, I don't think it's like a church song. It was just a song for my wife, but like, I was like, let's do it. So we kind of made it work towards that, and we did it that night. And the beauty of that whole night too is my wife got to come up. I talked a little bit about how I wrote the song before we did it, and then after the song, my wife came up and shared her testimony, and we prayed for people who were dealing with that. And it was this whole like really sweet, special moment in that night that came out of just this song and healing in our family. And it's, I mean, you know, and I want to say like since then we've never dealt with it again. It definitely hasn't hit as hard since then, but I mean, there's been struggles here and there, but I think finding, like, the thing is, once the Lord brings you through something too, you feel like, number one, you have like a lot of authority in that area to like go after it and to help other people walk through it. But also, you know, you've been down that road, you know, the directions to get out of that situation a little bit better. And so, yeah, it's just been a sweet song that I think is, I think I'll never get tired of singing it and hearing it, and because of all that it means to my family and to my wife. And
a beautiful story, beautiful song. And I always think about too, when I was listening to Prince of Peace, that name for Jesus, I always think about mostly during Christmas, because that's, just, you hear it all the time then, but during Christmas, you're reminded of just Silent Night, that, calm serenity, and to have a song like this that's reminding us that this is a year-round feeling of he's always there, no matter what, and we can be, in that deep state of anxiety. Yeah. And he fully understands, even if we can't explain it. So I do too. I love that, and it's always been like that. And I think it's in Isaiah where he says he'll be wonderful count, like Prince of Peace, and where he's prophesying about Jesus' birth. But then I was reading something the other day, kind of prepping to talk about. I've been talking about the song a lot, especially in May, and I was reading a devotion. And I hope I get it right, but it was essentially talking about how like we've invited Christ into our life, and what happens when we do that is he, as the Prince of Peace, as the ruler of our life, he brings peace wherever he rules. And I love that. Like, when I think about a prince, I think about royalty and a ruler, a king, and even though it's a prince, but I love that visual of like, because of that, because he is the Prince of Peace, it means wherever he rules and reigns, he brings peace automatically. And I was like, oh, I love that. Like, that's also kind of an accountability thing too.
Yes.
Like, if you're only letting him rule in certain areas and keeping that's where it's going to get a little bit rocky.
Yeah. You find out, okay, where is there no peace? So like, well, have you given him full reign in that area of your life? Like, it's pretty amazing. It's like, he can't help, but it's not like I need your peace now, Lord. It's like, no, I need you, Lord. And wherever he is, it automatically, that's where it comes. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So I love
Burning Palo Santo, hoping for the best.
Right. I'd never heard it said that way. And it's so simple and practical, but like, yeah, that's amazing. It's so good. But.
Incredible. Well, Made for More, out now. You're about to go on a European tour, which is going to be real fun.
Tomorrow. Well, tomorrow I'll fly to LA. I'm going backwards. I'm doing it opposite. I'm going backwards to LA, and I'm doing a show at Fish Fest in Anaheim, California tomorrow. And then Sunday on Father's Day, I'm flying from LA all the way to Amsterdam and jumping on the Europe tour. So that'll be fun.
So yeah, that's really, really exciting. And then is it just with Jenn, or is it a bunch from the Bethel worship group?
I know there's so many of us. People are always like, "Who's all good?" I'll get texts from friends, like if they just see like Bethel Music Tour, they're like, "I can't wait to see you," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not on that one," but because there's so many of us. It's actually Jenn's not coming. We made her stay home. No, I'm kidding. We didn't make her do anything. She tells us what to do. Listen, it's me, Paul McClure, who's part of the Bethel music team, and Bethany Worley, and then the whole band and a lot of guys on the outside doing things. But yeah, it's three of us.
Wow. I love it. Everybody check out joshbaldwin.com, Josh Baldwin on Instagram, socials, all of that. Last question for you. Okay. It looks like you've got a bunch of albums, records in the background. Can you talk about some of your favorite music that you like to listen to?
Yes. Oh, I love that. Now we're getting into the fun question.
We're getting into this.
I mean, I have some of my favorite artists up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think my all-time favorite is probably Tom Petty.
Yes.
I just want to be the Tom Petty of worship music. Honestly, that's all.
I love that.
That's all I wanted. I mean, and I also my other favorite, which he kind of got canceled, but I think he came back around. I think he went to rehab, but I don't know. Ryan, I do love Ryan Adams. I don't.
Yes.
I don't approve of his lifestyle, but I do approve of his music. But and then who else is up there? Oh, Chris Stapleton. I love him.
We love Chris Stapleton.
Pete Yorn. Yeah.
Love Pete Yorn.
Pete Yorn is not. I thought everyone knew about Pete Yorn, and recently I've been talking about him, and people are like, "What?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You don't know?" And so initially I get a little bit annoyed, and then I get so happy because I get to like
share with them.
Yeah, I get to share this with you, and you get to like listen. It's like when you find out someone has never watched your favorite TV show, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. You get to like start over and watch. Yeah,
this magic.
Like I wish I've watched this show 3 times, but I wish I could watch it for the first time ever again. So that's what Pete Yorn is that to me. And then the other album up there with the I think it's a little Panther is my friend John Mark McMillan. It's his Borderlands album. That he's a close friend of mine, a close Charlotte buddy of mine. And then there's an old school. There's an old school Michael W. Smith album up there that just looks awesome. I mean, I love him too, but
yeah, who literally looks the same as he did like however many years ago.
Seriously, that's like early '80s, and he looks just like that right now, and he's not.
I feel like if you enjoy Pete Yorn, I don't know if whoever I'm about to mention is not necessarily in the same category, but I feel like they low-key are. Are you an Andrew Bird fan?
I've heard him. I don't know a lot of his stuff, but I've been told that I need to listen to him.
I think you should. He's
okay.
Great.
Now I'm excited because I'm the one on the other end now. I know. I'm like so pumped to watch this new TV show that I've never seen before called Andrew Bird.
Andrew Bird. So Andrew, also Pete, or I forget about them for like months at a time, and then I'm like, I haven't listened to that random indie album, and I go on a rampage, and then I'm back to my mainstream.
Oh, I love it. I speaking of that and Pete, back when I lived I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and
is that how you met the Dries?
Yes. Well, no, it's not. That's what's crazy. I'm actually from. I say Charlotte. I'm from a little town like 45 minutes outside of Charlotte called Albemarle, North Carolina, home of Kelly Pickler. She used to go to our church years ago. And that's just what our sign says. My mom's fighting so hard to get my name up on that sign that says home of Kelly Pickler, and she wants it to say and Josh Baldwin, but I'm not quite there. It is a little town.
Put some like duct tape.
I know. She's just gonna
or graffiti it.
Yeah. No, I met the Dries here, and they were friends of a friend, and I knew they, kind of knew of them. And then we went out to lunch randomly with a mutual friend one day, and we were talking, and they were like, "We're from North Carolina too." And I was like, "What?" And turns out like Derek his family is actually from my county where I'm from, but like we just never knew each other. Like his family my family still live in Stanley County, North Carolina. His family does too. So yeah, that's crazy. We never knew each other when we were there, but yeah, which is how I met you, I guess. Which,
for context, everybody. So I met Josh through hosting a Christmas show at the Franklin Theater last December. The Dries put on an amazing. I want them to do that again this year because
it's so fun.
The horn section.
Yeah.
It was great. I haven't been to anything like that in a long time. In Nashville,
it was so fun, and they're just so great at it. Like first of all, they know all the songs. Like just knowing all the songs, like front to back. Like we all know the choruses of those songs. They know like the third and fourth verses of all these songs, and then Derek can play all of them amazing. And so, yeah, it was just such a sweet night. I was like, this is like this. I want to do this every year. We're plugging, like hoping they ask. We're hoping they do it again, and then hoping they ask us back. But
yeah, just the whole everyone again. Everyone the same. Everyone that was on, like, and then we can be. I don't know what was the Yeehaw cast.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like Christmas with the Dries 2.0.
A dry Christmas.
I love it. Well, Good catching up with you, hanging out with you here on the Libio Show.
Oh, this is so fun. It's so good
It's
to do
so
this.
fun.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, enjoy Fish Fest,
I
Europe,
will.
all the things.
Man.
And everybody go check out Made for More, the live album out now. Make sure that if I mean, there's a lot of people that go to Europe in the summer. So if you're in Europe
Yeah,
and
come
you're
out.
able to see a Bethel show, it's gonna be a good time.
Netherlands, Germany, Denmark,
Oh, you're going
Belgium,
to the good ones.
and then Northern Ireland. Yeah, it'd be fun. Yeah, come see us.
Well, thanks so much, Josh. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. So good to see you.
The Libio Show. It's the Libio Show. It's the Libio Show.